Welcome to the High Value Sales Show of Eversprint.com. I'm Malcolm Louie, the managing member of Eversprint, and today we're speaking with David Fetterolf, the president of Stratus Video, the world's largest and fastest growing video remote interpreting company, with over 1,600 hospitals and thousands of clinics using their solutions. Welcome to the call, David.
Thanks, Malcolm.
David, you grew your company's revenue from $4.4 million in 2014 to $47.4 million in 2017, a 973% increase, and you're on track to grow double digits this year as well. Can you share with us what Stratus Video does, and then after that, share what the three biggest drivers were of your sales growth over the past 4 years?
Sure, absolutely. So Stratus operates in the interpreting market segment in the United States. And the interpreting market segment is about a $2.2, $2.3 billion market in the U.S. And what we do is we target the healthcare market within the interpreting segment. And basically what we do is we interpret for patients when they walk into a hospital if they don't speak English, okay? And traditionally, there were two modes of interpreting, right? If a patient walked into the emergency room and spoke, say, Arabic, obviously the physician could not talk to the patient. And the two ways that that problem has been solved for the last 30 years is the physician would either get an on-site interpreter, an interpreter that was standing next to the provider and the patient, and that on-site in-person interpreter would then do the interpreting for the provider. And that mode of interpretation is obviously the best interpreting session you can have, but it's also very expensive, and most times those on-site interpreters need to be scheduled, a couple days in advance. So you can't solve a need in lots of languages very quickly. The other way interpreting is done in the United States is over the phone interpreting, right? And that's where the provider would dial an interpretation phone number, right? And they would get that Arabic interpreter on the phone. The physician would hold, one headset, the patient would hold the other headset, and the interpreter would be on the phone doing the interpretation for the provider and the patient. That type of interpreting is obviously not nearly as good from a quality standpoint as having an interpreter standing next to the provider and patient, but the cost structure is much lower, right? You only pay per minute, and you can service, a couple hundred languages over the phone, and usually you can get an interpreter on the phone within 60 seconds, right? So there are absolutely some great advantages to over the phone interpreting. So Stratus was founded 6 years ago, and we entered the market as the first company that had video remote interpreting, all right, in multiple languages. All right, and what video remote interpreting is, we have an app that works on an iPad, an Android device, or a PC, and on an iPad, say, you just have buttons that are languages. And if you needed that same Arabic interpreter, right, you would put the iPad in front of the patient, you just select the Arabic button, and typically within 30 seconds, we would have an interpreter that was qualified to do or certified to do healthcare interpreting. That interpreter would be a live person looking at the patient, right, and interpreting for the provider. And the patient interpreter can see each other through this video session. So it's almost as good as having an interpreter standing next to the patient and provider doing the interpreting, but it's at the same cost structure as over the phone interpreting, right, and at the same speed of answer, right? So Stratus basically was the pioneer in video remote interpreting. We entered the market, like I said, about 6 years ago, and because we really had a 3 to 4 year lead from a technology standpoint in this market segment of video remote interpreting. And because of that technology lead, we were able to very quickly capture market share, sell large health systems, and get our devices out in front of providers and patients. And our goal is to really help improve the lives of limited English proficiency patients around the country, and we're doing that. So that's what we are known for, and that's how we made a name for ourselves and got most of our growth. All right. Now, at the same time, all right, we were looking at both the over-the-phone market and the in-person market and decided to really be a full-fledged interpreting company. We had to solve those problems as well. So in the over-the-phone market, we made a small acquisition of a company that had been doing over-the-phone interpreting, and we fully integrated those interpreters and the over-the-phone technology into our video technology. So at this point in time, you can get any interpreter on video or over the phone on that same iPad. We service up to 200 languages over the phone. You can obviously use a phone to contact those interpreters as well. So we are in the over-the-phone interpreting market segment. And the third, leg of the stool was in-person interpreting. And when we looked at that market segment, that was also something that wasn't going to completely go away with video. There are certain times when you need and want an in-person interpreter. And so when we analyzed that market, it was really a market that was very regional. There were hundreds of local agencies around the country, and the way the agencies worked is they would sign up and do deals with hospitals and or health systems. And when a hospital needed an interpreter, they would send an email to the agency or give them a call, and they'd say, hey, I need a Mandarin interpreter tomorrow at 2 p.m. Right? And then the agency would call their contracted Mandarin interpreters, get somebody that was going to show up, and hopefully that Mandarin interpreter would show up tomorrow at 2 p.m. And the hospital pretty much was in the dark from the time they made that phone call to the time the interpreter showed up. And then at the end of the month, the agency would send an Excel spreadsheet, or a bill to the hospital that would just sort of show all of the sessions that were performed on site and how much they owed. It was sort of like the honor system. So we attacked that problem very differently, which has given us a big lead in over the phone or in-person interpreting. And what we did is we developed software that we call Stratus in-person. And the software works very similar to the way the Uber software works in the ride car market service, right? So when someone in the hospital needs an interpreter, they can pull out their phone, they can go to an iPad or a PC and request an interpreter. That request goes out via the software, all right, and it pings all of the interpreters in the area, right? And so if it was a Mandarin request, it would go out and ping all the Mandarin healthcare qualified or certified interpreters within that 10 or 20 mile geography, right? And then the interpreter would accept the job. The person at the hospital can see the interpreter driving to the hospital. And so interpreting sessions could be on demand, they could be scheduled, and it gave the hospital complete visibility through software of where those interpreters were and did automatic audits because we knew where they were on how long they were at the hospital and how long they were doing the interpreting session. So that software has really changed the way in-person interpreting is being delivered, and we've got at least a 2-year technology lead in that segment of the market. And, that's definitely one of our growth areas moving forward in the years to come.
So would you say, looking back at what you've done, what you were able to grow your business so rapidly over the past 4 years, and from what you shared with me, it sounds like, one, you have a technology lead over your competitors that allows you to build market share very quickly. And at the same time, you've also added 2 new segments, 2 new product lines, right? You started with the video interpretation service, then you added over the phone, and then you added in person. So would you say those are the big drivers, a tech lead, and then adding new services and solving new problems? Or is there another part of the equation?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say there's one other piece of the puzzle as well. It was critical to have the technology lead because, we were very different and pretty much alone in the video market segment for a number of years. And initially, it was that video product that gave us the initial momentum. And it was also our sales team and the way we attacked the market segment. And we were very focused on selling to large health systems and really targeted those health systems, through a telemarketing program, email campaigns, social media, and a sales team that was, around the country calling on these large health systems. So combination of that technology lead with a pretty aggressive sales and marketing campaign is how we got that initial market share. And then you're right, adding those two other product lines has helped propel us in the last couple of years. Like I said, the in-person product, like the video product, has made us very different in the market and has given us another couple of year technology lead to keep us in front of our competitors.
Can you share how many health organizations you started with way back in, say, 2014, and how many you're working with today or projected to work with today by the end of 2018? Roughly speaking.
I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but
okay.
We were selling a couple hundred hospitals every single year, even back in 2013, 2014, and we would do that by targeting health systems. If you targeted a health system and you sold a system that owned 20 or 30 hospitals, when you closed that deal, you would roll out to all 20 or 30 hospitals. And then, one of the reasons health systems are so important to us is that if you sell the right health systems and the larger health systems, those health systems have been growing every year. So they've been out doing their own acquisitions, buying other hospitals, and frankly, they're buying hundreds of clinics as well, and ambulatory surgery centers. So those large health systems are growing, and as they grow, they roll out our product. So we don't have to go sell them again. They just continue to roll out our video, over the phone, and in-person product lines.
Right. Now, one of the key drivers of your growth was your acquisition of the over-the-phone competitor supplier. Is that, outside of your current health organizations growing, do you see acquisitions as a big part of your future growth?
That was a very important acquisition, but it was not a key driver to our growth. It was important because we needed that over-the-phone service, but it is not a product line that is where we're differentiated. There are a number of competitors that all have the over-the-phone interpreting service, and one company is not that much different than the next. And so that's not really what drove our growth. What drove our growth was our sales team selling our value proposition, which was our video product and now is our in-person product. And then the over-the-phone product would just sort of be a drag-along, and people would want to buy from one vendor. But that didn't make our growth explode. Really what made our growth explode was the sales team selling our video product and now selling both our video and in-person product and dragging that over the phone interpreting product along because we're the leader in video and in-person.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, you're offering a full suite of services, but the primary draw really is the video interpretation service and the in-person on-demand service. And over the phone is a nice one to have, but that's the only other option available.
That's right, exactly. So we sell that in every deal, but the reason health systems buy from us is because of our technology differentiation on video and in-person. Mm-hmm.
So of the two services, in-person interpretation and video interpretation, which one is the ones that the health organizations, the hospitals, really want more than anything else?
The video. Video is definitely sort of it is the hot area in health systems, and for the reasons I outlined earlier, it's from a quality standpoint, it's almost as good as in person, but from a cost standpoint, it's roughly the same as over the phone interpreting. So what hospitals are able to do is they're able to put in video devices, right, and lower their overall costs because they can eliminate a lot of their in-person interpreting. And just to give you an idea, video interpreting is about 70% less expensive than in-person interpreting. So the overall interpreting budget for the hospital can go down when you put in video, because both over the phone and in-person interpreting will gravitate towards video, which will drive the overall interpreting cost down for the hospital and provide actually a better overall quality service, because video is much better than over the phone in terms of from a quality patient satisfaction standpoint, and literally it's almost as good as in person. So, quality, patient satisfaction go up, costs go down, and that's why hospitals and health systems are very interested in video.
Yeah, and at the same time, you can have interpreter available in 30 seconds or so, right? Using your video and over-the-phone options. Right. And in person, you still need to wait Absolutely. 15, 20 minutes or however far away that person is.
Yeah. That's right. Or even in many cases, it needs to be scheduled, a day or two out.
So looking forward, what are your plans? What are your objectives? What numbers can you share with us in terms of sales targets, number of hospitals you want to add onto the platform, number of clinics?
Well, it's interesting. We've had really explosive and dramatic growth over the last 4 to 5 years. And when I look at the next 3 to 4 to 5 years, we should be expanding, at the same rate. And the reason for that is video interpreting is still in its infancy. Okay, we've sold about 1,600 hospitals, but in total, only about 21, maybe 2,200 hospitals have even made video decisions, and there are roughly 5,800 hospitals in the country, close to 6,000 hospitals in the country, and only 2,200 of them have made video decisions, and 1,600 of those 2,200 are Stratus clients. So, number one, Stratus is doing 60 to 65% of every video interpreting session in the country is done by Stratus. So we have a really dominant market share in video, and probably more importantly, less than half of the hospitals have made video decisions. So it's still a greenfield. There's still just a tremendous opportunity to continue to sell into these large health systems and penetrate the market. It will be 5 years before this becomes a replacement sale. And as everybody knows, it's a lot easier to sell someone, a client, something the first time is to try and bump out a competitor.
Yeah.
Right. So, our goal is to continue to, if we can just keep that percent market share and continue to penetrate these health systems, we're going to see our revenue growth continue to, go up at quite a good pace over the next 3 to 5 years.
Right. Now, practically speaking, of the 6,000 hospitals out there, 2,200 of them are working now with Stratus. Of the 6,000, what's a reasonable number that these hospitals will actually work with Stratus?
Well, first of all, let me just correct you. So about 1,600 are working with Stratus.
Right.
And my estimate is about 2,200 have made decisions and fully rolled video out.
Right.
Meaning they're using it for all languages. Right. And we know that the other 3,500 hospitals are going to make video decisions in the next 3 to 5 years, and this $2 billion market is going to shift a little bit away from over-the-phone interpreting and in-person interpreting, and it's going to shift towards video. And the reason for that is, better patient satisfaction and quality at lower cost.
Right.
Because, video is a lot less than in-person and roughly the same as over the phone. So,
right.
So, as those 3,500 hospitals make their decisions in the next 4 to 5 years, Stratus is very well positioned to get a lot of that market.
Right.
I will say, in addition, there are other market segments that we will probably go after. in the coming years. Healthcare is not the only market that needs and wants video interpreting and does interpreting. So you've got school systems, right, and school districts, patient-teacher conferences, there are lots of reasons why you need video interpreting in schools. You need video interpreting in courts. The entire legal system, for depositions, for court hearings, for you name it, video will be a big driver in the court system. And we've got a couple of clients in that market segment, and that's sort of at its infancy right now, and less than 1% penetrated with video. And then we've got clients in the big enterprise area where, employers, and they've got employees that do not speak English or are deaf, and doing, HR meetings and other meetings with those employees, and providing a video interpreter is crucial to, making those employees productive within the company. So there are other market segments that we're probably going to begin looking at a little more seriously in 2019 and beyond.
Right. So what do you think are the biggest challenges you face in growing the business, growing Stratus Video's sales and penetration?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is it's been the challenge since day one, and it's probably the challenge that every company has, and that is, the most important thing at Stratus is the employees and the people. There's nothing more important than, number one, hiring the right people, right, and getting the right people on board, right, and number two, creating the right culture so that everybody at Stratus feels empowered to make decisions, and that everybody feels the excitement of growing a company and with a goal of helping people and helping these limited English proficiency people, improve their lives and get the right health care. And so, people and culture are by far the most important thing, and for me, it's always been the key to having a successful company. It's those products didn't get created and thought up on their own. It's the people and the entire team that really has come up with those ideas and figured out what to do and how to do it.
Right.
So people are the key to success.
Right. How about on the sales and marketing front, though? Do you see some challenges there, getting the word out, making inroads, connecting with your ideal health organizations and hospitals to show them the value of the Stratus video solutions?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's, obviously to grow the company quickly, sales and marketing is key. And, we've had a good, aggressive sales and marketing campaign since day one. I would say at this point in time, most hospitals and health systems know who Stratus is. The nice thing about the healthcare market is it's very focused. There are only 6,000 hospitals that we're targeting. We've got a telemarketing organization. We call every single hospital every single month and have been doing it for 5 years. So most of them have heard from us many, many, many times. And there are only about 700 health systems, so there are even fewer health systems. And, we know who our target market is, and we know how to go after them and try to reach them. And the key is just being in front of them when they're ready to go to a RFP or make a decision. We want to make sure that, we hit them at the right time so that we're one of the companies that they consider.
Right. So how do you stay top of mind with these companies?
We do it lots of ways. We're the thought leaders, or we try to be the thought leaders in interpreting. So our marketing team, we hold monthly educational webinars that we send out to our entire prospect and client base. And it really is just an educational webinar. We're not promoting any product or service. We're just providing education to the interpreting community in the healthcare environment. We do, probably bi-weekly emails that are also sort of education-related emails. Again, not necessarily marketing any specific product, just providing education on interpreting. So those are two ways we try to stay in front of people and build our name. We go to some of the key trade shows around the country so that we're present, in the different areas of the country, in getting in front of interpreting managers and interpreters. We've got a telemarketing team, like I said, that proactively calls every single health system in every hospital in the country every month. So that's another way to just sort of keep in front of them. And we've got a sales team that is then following up on those phone calls and those appointments to stay in front of them. And then finally, all the different social media avenues, including, LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and the social media to stay in front and share educational posts and keep in front of our key prospects.
Right. Do you do any degree of online advertising, pay-per-click campaigns, display advertising?
We do not. We did a little bit of pay-per-click, but we didn't find that hit our target market. Our target market is very narrow. I mean, it's the 700 to 800 health systems in the country. So there are not many health systems. Our target market's not even the hospitals. It's the health systems. So the paid advertising really is more for markets that are not as narrow as ours.
Right.
We were getting leads, and we close deals all the time that are small, but they don't move the needle
right.
for us. So the key is getting to the Kaisers of the world.
Yep. Two last questions for you. Who are your ideal customers, your ideal clients, and what's the best way for them to reach you?
So our ideal client is a large health system, but all health systems are good clients. So but a health system that has anywhere from 3 or 4 hospitals that they own up to 200 hospitals that they own, and most health systems are also acquiring medical practices, ambulatory surgery centers, urgent care centers. All right, so the target is the large health system, going down to the smaller health system, and the best way to get a hold of Stratus Video is to just go to our website, www.stratusvideo.com, and fill out a contact us form, and we will be in touch with you.
Thanks so much, David, for joining us today and sharing how you accelerate your company's high-value sales so fast.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it. Thanks for your time.
We've been speaking with David Fetterolf, the president of Stratus Video, about his company's rapid growth. For interviews with other fast-growing, high-value sales companies, or to learn how we can accelerate your firm's high-value sales through automation, visit Eversprint.com.